Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to Daily's 2A News. Today I'm going to make a video that I've been wanting to make for a long time. What it's actually like to live in California and support the 2A. This is a video that I think most people who live in California will understand. People that also live in New York and states that are similar to California will also understand. And for those people that don't live in those states, this could be very eye-opening for you. There's a lot of things that happen in these states that I think just go unnoticed. So let's go ahead and talk about what it's actually like to live in California and be a 2A supporter. So this is just going to be kind of a casual conversation. I want to tell you guys about my experience and what it was like for me living in California, but I also want to hear from you in the comments section. If you live in California, New York, New Jersey, or any other state that has similar laws to California, I want to hear about your experience as well. So leave that in the comment section. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and the little bell notification to let you know when future videos are coming out. So for me, living in California, one of the biggest problems that I experienced was just overall anxiety, right? Supporting the Second Amendment and doing the things that we do in California was extremely tough. And that's because laws were changing constantly. I mean, I'm somebody who does this for a living. I get in front of the camera, I tell people about new bills and things that are coming down the pipeline and what to look out for and how the changes are being made. And even at that level where I'm sitting there and I'm reading all of this legislation that's coming through, I was still worried that I missed something. I was still worried that something got signed or something got through that I didn't see that would end up getting me in trouble in the long run. I mean, you could be breaking the law in California and not even know it. That's one of the problems with California. So all these new laws get passed, all these new bills go through, and these bills get signed, they head up to the governor's desk, and then they get signed into law, and then they take effect. And it's not like there's this bulletin board, that says, hey, by the way, this one thing that you had last year that was perfectly legal is no longer legal. Or, hey, this thing that you had before that you didn't have to register, now the state says if you have it and you didn't register by this date, which is already passed, well, guess what? They're going to be stopping by your house to take a look at it or force you to register or whatever the case is. Things change so fast in California, and for most people who aren't plugged in and reading legislation every single day, they could miss it very easily, and it's happened multiple times. Now, on top of the anxiety I felt in California, there was also just truckloads of frustration. I mean, the frustration was real. One of my biggest frustrations was with the California roster. The California roster is basically a government-approved list of these. So in order to get one, you had to look at that roster, see what the government had approved, and then see if you can go ahead and find one. Now, it wasn't necessarily stuck to that list because people who were in law enforcement and other agencies could buy whatever they want, and then later on, if they didn't want it anymore or whatever the case was, they could always transfer it. But if you found one of those that was technically called off roster, you would pay upwards of 200% for that item that everybody else gets for less than the MSRP, right? And so you would sit there and you would watch YouTube videos, you'd see ads, you'd see things online, you'd see all the new latest and greatest things that everybody's talking about with the new cuts and the new this and the new capacity and the new vent, whatever it had, right? It was just the newest, latest and greatest thing that came out. And you're sitting there in California thinking, well, that's great for you. That's what I thought a lot of times. That's great for you. I'm glad you guys are able to have that because we're stuck here and we can't get those things. And maybe it's $500 for you, but I'm going to pay $1,000 for it if I can ever find one, maybe 2 years down the road, or a year down the road, or whatever the case is, if you could actually find one, because sometimes the second they pop up, they're gone just as fast. And so, the frustration with the California roster was real. And that was a big problem, especially, for what I was doing there. It meant that I was limited. And that means that every other citizen that lives there that wants to get into things are also limited. I mean, you're limited to things that are more than a decade old. Most of this stuff is from, early 2000s. Some of it has been on the roster for a long time, and it's just going to stay there because they can't get anything else new approved, and no companies are able to get anything approved because of micro stamping. So basically what's there is there, and even that starts to dwindle. And new laws, rules, and regulations come down that make that list even smaller and shorter, it seems like, every single year. And so what is available to you actually starts to shrink. So here's another thing about California. So you know how people in other states, they complain about the $200 tax stamp and the 6-month to 1-year waiting period for something that falls under the NFA. In my opinion, the NFA is unconstitutional to begin with, but they have an opportunity to get those things. Well, in California, forget about it. There is no NFA. Anything that's governed by the NFA in California is outright banned altogether. That means that you don't even have the ability to pay for a $200 tax stamp. You don't even have the ability to wait 6 months to a year. You just can't have it, period. So another thing about California, and I know this goes for a lot of other states as well, is you live every single day without representation from the state government. There is nobody in state government that represents your best interests. As a matter of fact, it seems like when you turn on the news, they're working every single day against you. So you pay taxes, you go to work every single day, you do your part, but there's nobody in the state government that is there trying to make sure that your rights are maintained. They work against your rights and try and take your rights from you. So you live every single day with no representation. You pay huge sales tax, you pay huge gas tax, you pay income tax, state and federal, and yet there's no one to represent you. You're just basically there just making money for the state, and that is very frustrating. Now, another thing that really got to me in California was how many, and I call them closet 2A supporters, there are. These are people who own things, they go out, they have a good time, they support the Second Amendment, but they are just afraid to tell anybody about it. And when they find out that you are, they almost like jump to the opportunity to talk to you because you just don't see too many people that are, wearing shirts or have a sticker on their truck or, talk about it openly in public because they're too afraid of retribution from the majority of people in California who actually don't like you for that particular reason. And so people are so afraid of not being liked by their neighbors that they're too afraid to actually speak up about the hobby that they love. And so there's a lot of closet 2A supporters out there. And I think if more of them would just speak out and talk to other people about their hobby and just simply educate people on the fact that it's not like what you see in the news, maybe you could actually change some minds. But that would mean that you would have to actually come out and tell people like, hey, I believe in the Second Amendment. I support it fully and I go out and I have a good time. And, this is what I do. This is one of my biggest hobbies. And just talk to people about it. Maybe you could change your mind. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of things that I missed. You could go on for days about the different things that can be frustrating to people like us in the state of California and other states. But, those are the things that really were noteworthy to me. Everything is regulated. Everything is overregulated. There's really no Second Amendment there. It's become not a right, but a privilege. And the privilege is granted by the government, could be taken away by the government. The government tells you what you can have, when you can have it, where you can have it, how you can have it, how you can store it, how you can use it. Everything is regulated by the government in California. There is nothing that they cannot touch, nothing that they have not tried to touch. And when you do actually get a case that starts winding its way through the court that shows some potential, the amount of time that the court system takes, especially with the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, you know that even if you do win, you're not going to be seeing relief for years. So California is definitely a very frustrating place to live. I know that, it's starting to creep into other states across the country, and other states that want to adopt things tend to look at California for a blueprint. And so everybody in California is lumped together with the blame. It doesn't matter whether you're somebody who is, on our side or not. You're lumped in with all of the other Californians. And so it's very difficult just to make it there and continue. But I got to say, on a lighter note, those people in this community in California are some of the tightest communities that you will ever see. You don't know real 2A advocates until you've seen somebody in some of these states, that are highly regulated. These are people who fight back against this stuff every single day. They don't just wait for, one federal bill to come down over the next federal bill, or, maybe their state tried to push one thing 2 years ago and now maybe it's coming back. No, in California, they're fighting against it every single day. I mean, on a daily basis. And these groups, they get together, they have fun together, they communicate well, they warn people of things and inform people of things, and they stay vigilant. The community out there is very tight-knit. It's a great community, and you won't find a better group of people. I mean, these people are there to be there for each other. And so the community out there is definitely very strong. And that's one thing that I do like in California. The people that you meet that are on your side, they're some of the best out there, period. So if you're not part of a club yet, if you're not part of a group, or if you haven't gone to one of those events, it's definitely something worth checking out. Anyway, I just wanted to talk to you guys about that. I'm sure a lot of you can share my frustrations and my anxiety. It's pretty difficult, and for those of you who live in other states, it's you have to have some insight as to what people are going through in these other states, instead of just looking at them and say, oh, well, I can't stand Californians because of A, B, or C. There's good people there, and those good people need to be acknowledged. Anyway, I want to thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, subscribe. Have a great day.